No one in the quiet neighborhood of Falmouth expected anything dark to happen in a house that looked so normal. It was a place where people passed without thinking, where children played nearby, and where everything seemed calm. But behind the doors of that house, something was happening that would haunt the town forever. The house belonged to a woman named Latoya Simmons. She was a single mother with 4 children. People often said she kept to herself, rarely speaking to others, always with her head down. But no one guessed what was really happening inside those walls. In the summer of 1847, strange sounds began to echo from Latoya's house. At first, neighbors thought it was just children playing, or maybe someone moving furniture. But the sounds grew louder, more violent, and more terrifying. Screams that sounded like they came from deep underground, banging that shook the windows, and whispers that seemed to come from nowhere. One neighbor, an old woman named Ruth, decided to speak to Latoya. She knocked on the door one evening, but no one answered. The sounds inside stopped suddenly, like someone knew she was there. Ruth walked away, her hands shaking, and told others what she had experienced. A few days later, the town sheriff, Henry Tolman, was asked to investigate. He arrived with 2 deputies. When they knocked, Latoya opened the door slowly, her face pale, her eyes distant. She allowed them inside without saying a word. The house was dark. Curtains were pulled tight, blocking all light. The air smelled of dampness and decay. Toys were scattered on the floor, but there were no sounds of children. Sheriff Tolman called out, but no one answered. Latoya stood silently in a corner, watching. Then, from the basement door, a faint sound rose. A cry so weak and quiet it was barely noticeable. One deputy opened the basement door, and the smell that came up was unbearable. Mold, rot, and something else no one could name. They went down. With lanterns. What they found would never leave their minds. In the basement were 4 small mattresses on the floor, stained and torn. Chains were attached to the walls. The children, all 4 of them, were there. Thin, pale, eyes hollow. They looked more like shadows than living beings. One child, barely 5, whispered, "Please do not take us away." She said the world is worse. Latoya stood at the top of the stairs, her voice cold. They are not ready for outside. It hurts. Out there, the sheriff arrested her on the spot. The children were taken to the town doctor, who examined them and cried. He had never seen such neglect. Their bodies were weak, their skin bruised, their spirits broken, but they were alive. That night, news spread quickly. People gathered outside the house in shock and anger. Some wanted to burn it down, but the sheriff stopped them. He said justice had to be done the right way. Latoya was taken to the town jail, where she spoke to no one. For days, she sat still, never eating, never sleeping. When asked why she did what she did, she said, "I wanted to protect them. I heard the voices. They told me the world would take them." Doctors examined her and wrote in their notes words like delusional, traumatized, and dangerous. But one doctor, a young man named Elijah, said something different. He said, "I do not think she is insane. I think something else was there." He had gone back to the house after the trial began, hoping to understand more. In the basement, he found something he never told anyone. A wall with symbols scratched into it, strange markings that no one could explain. He touched one and felt a coldness run through his hand. Elijah never spoke of it again. Latoya was sent to a mental institution far from the town. The children were placed with new families, but they never smiled again. One by one, they vanished. Not all at once, but slowly, over years. Each time, they left behind a note with the same words. She was right. It hurts out here. The town of Falmouth tried to forget. The house was torn down, the land left empty. But even now, people say at night, if you walk past that lot, you can hear whispers. Some say it is the wind. Others are not so sure. One thing remains. A case of Latoya Simmons was so terrifying that even the doctors wanted to forget.